Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Game From Scratch, and today I have a perfect way for you to whittle away the time this weekend. It is an alpha game engine / portal called dotbigbang, and to be honest, it's a lot of fun to work with. It's a self-contained game engine, very specific art style, and we're just going to jump in and take a look at how you use it. So we're going to start things off with, well, let's build a game. So you come in, you got a couple of different templates. You can start with just a straight-out empty game, or you can go with a first-person shooter style template, or an obstacle course style. We'll start with the obstacle course, and this is one of those kind of play the game, build the game kind of setups. You do have tutorials that walk you through everything you need to know to learn it. They're pretty solid. It is pretty straightforward to learn as well. It's very nicely polished, if I'm honest. So here we are in the world environment, and it starts off with sort of a play and build. So I'm going to walk around in the world, but I can also add things into the world and create stuff that way. I can also switch this bird's eye view and sort of have just a straightforward navigate around the world. So you can see the type of example of project we're working with here. It's an obstacle course where you're trying to get through it, up here, to the end, across this ramp, through all this area, and to the end. So you're going to notice when you start looking at things, everything has, it's basically your traditional entity component setup. It's just very simplified in a way of how it works. So let's go back to our character, for example. You'll notice when you first come into this, you create your own avatar. Here is mine. I will select it. You'll notice we have your normal traditional 3D manipulators for moving things around in the world, for moving things up and down, for scaling things, etc. You'll also notice our entity is made up of a number of different components. So we got a transform component on it, for example. But what you'll also notice is all of these purple fellows, and these are all basically scripts or things that have been attached to it. For example, here I have this text box attached that's showing my name above it. If I want to get rid of that, I can come here and do so. Now let's look at actually adding some game logic to the world. And to do so, let's put something in it. So we're going to put this trampoline in. We'll put it right there. Again, you do have all the widgets for moving things around. And then what you can do is actually add some logic. So you got over here, you got collisions, different layers of collisions that can happen, and so on. But what you might be interested to doing is adding some actual logic to it. Well, this is where dotbigbang kind of shines, is it uses a scripting-based system. So you got all these built-in featured scripts right here. So I'm going to put a kill script on this guy. So basically just drop it in, and now you'll notice there is a trigger kill. If there are some settings for it, you can set them down below. This one is pretty straightforward in what it does. It kills you. So what you're going to do now with that in place, we're going to go ahead. We're going to switch out of bird's eye, get our character controller, hit it, and then go ahead and die. It is really that simple to work with. It's a nice setup. Another thing we can do with this guy over, for example, here, you have a number of options. So we could set some text, a sound to it, and so on. So let's go ahead. We'll add a particle system on top of this guy, like so. So we'll switch. All right, here we go. Starting opacity, ending opacity, lifetime, number of particles. Let's add a bunch of particles from it. And there you see, I'll go into bird's eye view so you can go up and see. So you've got these particle systems. That's how easy it is to create a particle system on an entity. Now you may be wondering, okay, well, what about those scripts? So for example, we attached a kill script onto this guy right here. It'd be available under the scripts, trigger kill. I'm going to go here and edit that. You'll notice it opens up a code editor over here directly inside of the game. And this is TypeScript, and I very much appreciate that fact. I like TypeScript as a language. It's just like kind of a superscript of JavaScript. Come in here, you can, oh, I'm in play mode. Oh no, I didn't, since I didn't edit it. Okay, so I'm gonna remix it, so I'm gonna create my own version of it. Trigger kill, and we'll call it Trigger Kill 2. And we'll save that. All right, so now that I got Trigger Kill 2, I can go ahead and remix it. So here you can see, and you're getting full code completion and so on. I guess at some point in the future, again, this is an alpha release. At some point in the future, there is going to be a visual scripting language, but as it stands right now, they picked the right language, in my opinion, being TypeScript, and it has this editor and code completion built in. You also have some documentation to help you out and get things going. It's a nice little engine. It's got good polish. Now, what you're going to notice going on down here at the bottom is we have a decent supply of things to create with our world. So here is this environment, and go over here to the voxel objects. Here are all of the things that ship with this particular game. But you're going to also notice, come down here, you've got the mine section, which is kind of empty. I'll show you how you can create mine stuff later on. There's liked stuff that you've actually liked in the past, and then there is all. And this is where the community really comes in. So the community has created a ton of different objects. So here, example, is a voxelized moonlander. And I got to say, some voxel artists are quite impressive in what they do. So you've got this huge community of people creating content for you. Now, I do wish there was slightly better curation with this content. Again, this is an alpha release, or there was more organization. That these things were actually organized into categories, because as it stands, it can be a bit of a mess to find good quality stuff. So if they had curated by the development team side of things, that would definitely be handy. Like if there was a curated section, and then if there was category sections, so you could say, you know, swords, weapons, or trees, or whatever. Here you can see the sword section. You can see the number of swords have been given by the community, and this just kind of keeps going and going and going, and this is going to get bigger and bigger in time. Again, if you want to use one, literally just drag and drop it into your world. So that is definitely a nice aspect of it. You can search through the entities in your scene. Again, you do have that script editor that's built in. Once you're done, you can go ahead and save out your game. You can share it for other people to work with. Now I'm going to head back to their portal, I guess you could say, and you'll notice we were in the build games category right there to get that stuff working. There's also the create objects. By the way, this is all completely free. I think at some point in time in the future, there is going to be the ability to monetize and sell your games in the portal. I'll show you the portal in just a second as well. Again, when you come into here, you're getting a tutorial, walks you through everything you need to know. But what you're going to notice here is it has a full fat voxel editor. So see, for example, I can paint voxels like so. I can also get into primitives. So if I wanted to create a cube, I can do it this way, do it up in the direction. We also have, for example, a spherical voxel that you can work with. So you've got full voxel editing. You've got the color filling. So I can go up here. I can pick a different color out. Bit of a spoiler there by accident. So I can, come on, pick a color. Okay, and now I'm going to go, we can paint with that color. So here, individuals, or we can just straight out flood fill. Now, the other thing you may want to notice here is this is actually animatable. So you can create multiple frames of animation. So you can go ahead and change things over time, like so. So basically, we're going to have a strobing green fellow here in the animation. But you do have the ability to create multiple frames of animation for your voxel creations. It's a solid set of tools. You got tools here for adding and subtracting voxels, etc. And then you got the ability to basically, you can save this change up. And then if I go ahead and save this guy as, I guess, unnamed object 01, when I go back into creating a game, so let's say I'll go here to, we'll build another game. In this case, I'll start with an empty game, which is basically a blank canvas. And again, more tutorials. I should be able to come in here and now go to mine, and there is my masterpiece creation ready to be used in the game. And again, once again, I can grab this guy, grab any of the scripts that are out there, and the same deal for scripts, by the way, as it was for models. So you come in here and you search all, you're going to find a ton. And here's where I think they really need curation. This actually renders it pretty useless, because as I just created an unnamed, there's literally millions of unnameds in here. But let's say we wanted to do a jump script. So here, jump scare, those are for all the UIs. By the way, there are UI aspects here as well. Let's put a jump cat animation on this thing. I have no idea what that's actually going to do. I don't think there's, oh, there are a bunch of settings. Okay, there's far more here that I want to set up. Okay, so I'm not going to configure that, but you get an idea of how all these basic scripts would work. And here, again, just under jump, here are all the ones that are actually shared out to you. They do need to have definitely better curation on this. They need to have, again, marked as most liked, or again categorized, etc. This is an area where improvements need to happen, because you're going to just quickly get overwhelmed with the amount of stuff here. Let's do an example. Let's go back here and let's find out how many cats there are. There are no cats. How could there be no cats? Oh, this game. Okay, that was it, because there's going to at least be a few cats. All right, so here we go. Here are all of the things that fall under the category of cat, and it's still loading and loading and loading and loading and loading. And so this is both a strength and a weakness, in that you're letting your community define the terms that are searched for and to share whatever they want. But unless you have a system for the best stuff to percolate up to the top, you're going to end up with a lot of results. So again, I think one of the areas I would definitely focus on if I was behind this project was the curation aspect. Now, if you want to just come in and actually just play around, we come over here. I'll cancel out of that one. You can also start out here in like the World Hub, and this is sort of where all of the games can kind of be linked together. You've seen similar things. This kind of reminds me a bit of this, like a voxelized version of Core. So you can see other users actually running around in the world. We got NPCs like this, but you can see this is another person. At least I believe it's another person. So this, yeah, so guest here is running around doing stuff. But what you can do is basically pick any kind of category that you're interested in here. And when you find a game that you're interested in, like an obstacle course game, for example, you can basically come on in here and pick it. and then it will spawn you into that particular game. So this is how all the games are kind of strung together using this hub. Now, I don't know the process of getting your actual work put into a hub, but you get an idea of the kind of games you can create. So I'm going to go in here. I don't want to wait. All right, let me go. So I think this is like a Frogger type thing, I think. Yeah, it is. So those are sort of the types of games that you can create. Again, there's a number of battle royale style shooters. Your scripting logic is done entirely using that TypeScript language. In terms of if you're wondering, okay, how do I go about doing this stuff? Well, come on over here. There is the documentation. So they walk you through the various different things you may need to know. I do have sound still going in the background, which is unfortunate. Let me just shut that guy down. So you got solid documentation, walks you through scripting, how multiplayer works, how the various different pieces work together in terms of the API. There is a UI layer available, so you can create UI elements that you display on screen. They do have walkthroughs of how things work, how to create entities, how to use the scripting. And again, they are also talking about at some point in the future opening this up to the broader world with a visual scripting option as well. So if you're interested in checking this one out, as you may have noticed from my browser popping up a couple times, just go to dotbigbang.com in your browser and you are ready to start going, or you can just play games that other people have created. The limitation seems to be the voxel style for sure, but the scriptability, it does seem to have a decent amount of what you can pull off using it, and it's quite easy to actually go ahead and work with. So you can check out some of the games that other people have created. Some of them are actually pretty impressive at this point in time, and you can also look at some of the 3D objects other people have created using the 3D side of things. So if you want to use this just as a modeling tool, I guess you could do that as well, which, by the way, go into create object, you can share anything out. I have to save my object. But once your object is saved, you can share it out to other people. You can also use this to render a thumbnail version of it. It's going to create it like so. You save it out. Again, it's going to save out default to unnamed objects. So you're going to have tons of unnamed objects out there. But then what you can do is go ahead and actually save it out. You can share a GIF or a 3D viewed object of it with friends. So you can use this as just a straight up modeling tool if you so wish to do so. It's an interesting project for sure. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Their blog is available here as well. Kind of walks you through some of the things that have happened and where their goals are with this project. As you saw, every time we went to go do something as well, there was documentation, like a tutorial that walks you through how to go ahead and use it. In terms of skill required, I think at this point in time, you probably need to be maybe 12 or older. The TypeScript language isn't really that hard to work with, but you obviously need to have a decent grasp of reading. It is a scripting-only programming language. But truth of the matter is, you can get a little kid started with this, even younger, without any of that requirement, simply because you could use just use other people's works, and you're literally just drag and dropping, configuring it on your scene. But if you want to start, expanding and scripting and all that stuff, hey, again, I think TypeScript is a great choice of language, but it's not going to be, as beginner friendly as a visual programming language like Scratch, for example, might be. But for all ages, it's fun to play with. I played around with it for a few hours. You can create some interesting creations. It's an interesting project. It'll be interesting to see how far it goes, and I'm interested in seeing how many more times I can say interested before the end of this interesting video. So let me know what you think of dotbigbang. Have you played around with it? Are you going to play around with it? And if you did, how many hours did you spend playing with it? Let me know. Comments down below. I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.